I'm gonna tell you all a story about the men from Vietnam.
And our guests are here, Douglas,
I'm gonna tell you all
and I haven't met you before. Is it Sarah?
Sarah's fine, yes, ma'am.
And, we don't hear you yet. Can you bring your volume up a little bit?
Okay, let's see where we're at.
Here we go. I think we got you. Douglas has been with us before on the air. He's a former Vietnam vet. He's shared with us many stories about his friends, and particularly a mentor and friend, Snow Owl. Can you hear me okay, Douglas?
We can hear you fine. Can you hear us?
Yeah, we got you. And
okay.
Today, Douglas is joined by his wife, Sarah. We welcome you, Sarah.
Hi, yes, thank you.
Oh, great. We hear you. And I love that you have some stories that you'd like to share about Douglas. That's really beautiful. We called the topic of our conversation, stories about walking the red road. And, I sometimes people don't understand what exactly is involved in walking the red road. And I'm here also, Sarah. I want you to meet Rick. He's a co-host.
Hello.
Hi, Mr. Rick. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. How are you today?
I'm wonderful.
Great. I love it.
And also in the background, our friend Carolyn is running the board.
Hi, Miss Carolyn.
It takes a team here to make all this happen.
Yeah.
So anyway, can you maybe start, either Douglas or both of you, tell us a little bit more about what's involved in walking the red road?
The red road is the native way. It's different than Christianity. It's different than a lot of religions, because it's an earth-based religion, if you think of it. One of the ways I could say it the easiest is what in a Lakota way of ending a prayer is Mitakio Yasin. And what that means is we're all related. It doesn't just mean me and you as human beings. It means everything, down to the rocks, down to the trees, down to the crawling things, down to the birds and the four-legged.
Master Yoda understood.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's when we take that and we start understanding that the old ways weren't wrong. They were right. There was more to everything than just what I can get from it. It's also what do I have to do to keep it stable and viable. And I think that's one of the things that we've lost sometimes in life, where if you look backwards to the old ones, and I don't care what tribe it is, they all felt that, walking this road, you had to take care of everything around you. Mm-hmm. That you had to be responsible for those things. You were responsible for the children, for the elderly. It wasn't just your own hide that you worried about. You worried about the group as a whole. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something we've lost a little bit because of technology, in a sense. We forget who we were at one time, And I think that's a sad thing in its own way. But walking the red road, it's like, it's not that we have a way that's better than anybody else's. It's just an older way. It's what our ancestors believed in, and probably wish it could still be that way. But, we live in modern times and we get lost. I mean, I've seen it where there were times, and Sarah could tell you, there were times here at this house, we'd have sweats. We'd have to run 2 sweats to get everybody in. And I'm not talking a small lodge. We had a 16-foot lodge.
And we were stuffing them in there.
Wow.
And it's like, Nowadays, they're all gone.
Mhm.
You don't see them anymore. So, and they might have went back to being a Christian or whatever religion they were from, and that's fine. But this road has something for the native population if they reach for it. The ancestors are there to help you. I truly believe that. Because there's times when I'm upset, I get woke up at 2 a.m. and they talk to me. It's like they tell me things and I have to listen to them. And I'm not special. I'm not a holy person. I go back to I look at the word Ikshe Washasha. I'm a common man. If they work through me, it's only because I can become a hollow bone and I can divert myself out of the way and let them do what they need to do. And that's the way spirits really work. The old ways. If you talk to the old shaman and the old holy people, you'll find that. I've been on the Reds and I've met a lot of these old holy people, and they're normal human beings. They've got flaws just like me and you. But when they're in that right spot and that become that, like Grandpa Fulsgrove said, the hollow bone, things work through them,
Mm-hmm.
But this road is a strong road if you walk it. There's learn the ceremonies is what I would say. Learn your tribal ceremonies. I remember that was one of the things Flood Ron Snow Owl would do. He was trying to learn the Abenaki way of doing things, where I was learning the Lakota way of doing things. They're not wrong. It's just that you're trying to get back what was lost from your people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sarah, could we have your perspective on the Red Road and how you chose maybe to walk that way?
Well, I've always said I walk along the Red Road. My belief system, for me personally, it kind of gives more towards old world magic, and the altar gods. I acknowledge one greater being, so that again puts me right back with the Native Americans. But I can tell you, I can testify to things I've seen with coming back from not a Native Red Road participant, but I kind of walked hand in hand with them.
Mm-hmm.
I have seen them take a man out of here after doing healing sweats and healing ceremonies on him. He was extruding black tar-like substances from his pores.
Wow.
That was when he got all that negativity and that black stuff out. His health got better. He got better for a little while as a human being. I saw that with my own eyes, so I can testify that it's true.
Yeah.
I've also seen this guy. We went to Busch Gardens. And Busch Gardens being animal conservatories, they had a couple of eagles that would never fly again. Mm. So they had fixed up a little range for these eagles, gave them the heights that they could get maybe a little soaring breeze. It wouldn't keep them aloft for long because they couldn't keep themselves aloft. You couldn't see them. You couldn't hear these eagles, but he walked over to the gate. I think he prayed for a minute because he got real still. And then he started to softly sing a song. I recognized the song for what it was. It was an eagle calling song. It was a Sundance song. And then you heard those eagles. Just a clapping brigade of branches snapping and birds squawking. And you look up and here come two turkeys at first I thought, but then as they got closer, no, these are eagles. These are grown, mature, white heads. He called them eagles down with that eagle song. One eagle did not have but one wing, but he would fly crawl, slide, step, all the way down. And they would call between them. And then they got down to where they would, Doug had to be in their sight, their center beam. And they stood there and watched.
Wow.
That I saw with my own eyes. That I can testify to.
Yep.
These men and women find so much peacefulness on this road that I've seen it overcome just plain old fears. I've seen it overcome PTSD. I've seen it come animal rights. I've seen it change people's minds. And I've seen people that didn't get any benefit because they were only there to play. Red Road will know when you're playing.
Right.
Wow.
So that was my story.
Yeah. Oh,
Thank you for sharing.
thank you, Sarah. That was beautiful. You know.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of people, I think, it's, when we talk religion, when I first got around the holy people, you'd say, you start realizing that they're human. They have fallibles just like anybody else.
Yeah. And they
don't tell you anything. They don't act like, oh, look, I'm a holy person. You'll know the real people. I laugh when I said the word Ikshe Wishasha. That's a Lakota word, and it does mean common man.
Mhm.
My last Sundance, as I was hooked to the tree, that's what the tree reminded me. Never forget your Ikshe Wishasha. You're a common man.
Mhm. Mhm.
If I clear myself out enough and get me out of the way and let the spirits do what they got to do, they can do healing work. And I kind of say it this way. From the first time I went Sundance, I was praying for my wife, Sandy. And I don't know what made me start the prayer that way, but I've always prayed this way. Either heal her or take her quickly. Do not allow her to suffer.
Mhm.
She died that year. The next year I prayed for my mom. Same prayer. She died that year. Year after that, I was doing a Sundance and I was praying for my third wife's sister who had cancer. And I went to the tree and I was standing to the tree. The tree said, "You're done." And I knew what it meant. It meant I didn't need to make a prayer. That they were going to take her, but not to be upset. Then my fourth Sundance, I was praying for a good friend of mine who had stage 4 bone cancer. She just died last year. She lived probably another 8 or 9 years after I prayed for her. Then, my sixth Sundance, I prayed for my stepson, Duncan, who has autism. He was nonverbal, still in diapers at the time. He's now 23 years old. He has a job, part-time.
But he goes to work Monday through Friday.
Right.
Right.
So when you pray, you can't be selfish with your prayer.
Right.
Oh.
Whatever, like to me, all my prayers are answered. Not always like I'd like them to be, but they're answered. And I think that's the way the spirits truly work. You can't demand them to do something that would be against what the main, like say the Great Spirit will want. Maybe it's their time. Maybe it's their time to cross over. I grew up knowing my whole life I was Cherokee. My grandfather blamed it on my grandmother's side of the family, only to find out that my last name sits on the Cherokee rolls. So it's one of those kind of things that you never know where you're at. My father's side of the family, every name on that side of the family are on the Cherokee rolls. But my father, when he married my mother, she's only second generation American. Her grandparents came from Budapest, Hungary to the United States. And then her dad was first born here, and then she was born here. So that kind of broke that line a little bit, because in Cherokee way of being, it's from the maternal side of the family that you get your clan and all. So, I've always known that, and I think we talked about it in one of the earlier things with Ron. He kept trying to find me Cherokee holy people. And it just turned out they were people playing at being holy people. So I don't know what they wanted. I think they thought there was a power there, and there is. What I've seen from the actual holy people I've met, like Grandpa Joe flying by, Grandpa Eagle Road, Grandpa Norbert running. When I've met these people, they are the most humble people you'll ever meet. And if somebody didn't tell you who they were, you would never know. Because they don't brag about what they do. They just do.
Yeah.
Yep.
I wanted to ask you, Douglas, we talked on the phone a couple times, and earlier you were waiting for the first thunder beings, and you were going to do a ceremony. I know that sometimes it's not good to talk about traditions and ceremonies and things, but is there anything that you can tell us about the first thunder? Because we experienced that, I think, about a week ago.
We're still waiting
across the area. Great thunder. It was pretty amazing.
Sarah said she heard. I haven't heard yet. I've been waiting for it, because what I usually do to welcome the thunder beings back, because it's kind of like a yoga thing, a backward forward thing. I will take my chinopa, my pipe, because there is no word for pipe in Lakota. The pipe is actually chinupa, the marriage of wood and stone, is what it means. And I will take it, and I will load the pipe, and I will offer to all the directions to grandfather and to grandmother when they return. That's my way of welcoming them back for the season, because usually that's the start of spring when you start hearing the thunder being. So it's like one of those things it's a ceremony that I do. Not all Lakota do it, but I do, because I like to welcome them back, let them know that I think of them. Because a lot of times when I pray, that's who I'll pray to. I'll pray to the west. That's where they're from, or to the horse nation. That's another thing that's referred to, because they're referred to as. And there's certain medicines that go with that, And when I say medicines, the Lakota word is pujuta. It's a medicine. Everything has a medicine, down to the stones. We used to say when we were doing a sweat lodge, when we put the stones on, we were asking them grandmothers and grandfathers to give up their steam, give up their life, so we can learn. So we see things as everything having its thing. And I had one time we were in with the tribal people, the Cherokee, down in Georgia, and I was sitting talking, and I happened to mention the tree is my brother. And I had this minister say to me, "How can you call that tree your brother?" And I asked him, I said, let me go into the Christian thinking. Did God create all things? And he said, yes. I said, so when God creates something, does a spark of God go into his creation? And he said, yes. I said, the same spark that's in that tree is in me. And that's how, if we look at everything in that kind of a direction, all of a sudden, when you do things, I mean, even for us, when we would build a sweat lodge and when we would go to cut a tree down, we would offer it tobacco, thanking it for giving up its life so I can make a sweat lodge so I can go in and I can pray. And in the Lakota thinking, there's 16 poles of sweat lodge, 8 positive and 8 negative. when their poles go into the ground, their thinking is that's not the stop. That the whole earth is, and the whole universe is encompassed inside that sweat lodge. The hole in the middle of the rocks going, that's the navel. So everything has a meaning. When you start seeing that more and more when you're walking the road and you start taking that in, then everything has something to get, something to offer. So, they might laugh at you and call you a tree hugger, but guess what? When you're real upset, sometimes go out and hug a tree. You'll find that there's something cathartic about that. Why? Because there is. When I sundance barefoot. That feeling of earth under my feet when I'm dancing. There's something about that that's just beyond anything else. Everything is alive around us. Mm-hmm. It's just that we live in this world where we kind of forget that. Yeah. And we need to bring that back into our walk and our being, because that's how we touch our ancestors. That's how they knew. Mm-hmm. That's how they felt a part of everything, Mm-hmm. And it's sad, but we've lost a lot of that through time. It's like, I see the generations that's coming, and I hope that we keep these ways alive, because they tried to wipe it out. Mm-hmm. We were the heathens. We didn't know they had God and they knew everything. And I'm sorry, we would have been fine if they never came here. We were perfectly content with what we had. We didn't need beyond what we needed. And tribally, if you think of it, nobody ever was hungry, because if you became a widow, people would come make sure you had food. Yep.
It's the past, and everybody wants to be real romantic about it, and we want everyone to come out looking like a hero. And I contend that there were a lot of zeros.
Oh yeah, I think we had our own problems, but not so much that we had to have jails. I
agree with that. We had our own punishments.
Yeah, most of the time it was like banishment,
or you were put to the women.
Did you have a question, Rick?
I'm listening, and I love hearing what you both have to say today. I'm kind of just sitting here taking it all in, and I respect the experiences that you've had.
Oh, thank you.
I really do. And Sarah, it's obvious that you are a healer.
News to me.
Well, that's okay. I still think you're a healer.
Well, my therapist, my once-time therapist, she told me I should have been a therapist myself. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Who knows?
We shared some pictures of the both of you in your regalia. I was wondering if you would talk about that a little bit.
Okay. Which picture it was? Do you remember which one it was?
I know the one with the bustle. I can tell you how old I was at that picture. I was between 38 and 39 when that.
Wow. Okay.
I'm 73 now, so that kind of gives you an idea. Uh-huh. That was one, and I think I sent you one with my otter hat and drop, and I sent you one with my split horn war bonnet. That split horn war bonnet right now resides with Georgie Jessup.
Okay.
I gifted that to Georgie Jessup. In fact, I gifted it to her, and then a while later I sent her that picture to show her that it was actually danced at one point. But
but can you speak to what that experience was like when you had your regalia and you would go to social events like a powwow and be be in your traditional regalia?
I love being able to put on my regalia or something along that historic period.
Mhm.
I love to play dress up. So I really did. I went forward with it almost with this cosplay type attitude. Now, that's speaking kind of highly of me that at 9 years old, when my family started doing powwows.
That's how long
Wow.
she's been going.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
you know, I have gone through decades of changing
Mm-hmm.
my regalias because, yeah, we were people that we didn't have more than we needed, but every girl liked something pretty. So we would trade amongst ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
It might take us 2-3 seasons to get to where we wanted to be, but we'll trade. We'll do sweat equity, and these systems work.
Yep.
Mhm.
They work.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure which picture he has of me, but it's probably going to be one with stars on it, our flag. It's got stars and red, white, and blue. This is in honor of all the veterans. It is the red, white, and blue colors. It is the pattern almost of our nation's flag. It's shiny, very shiny. And that's just all tribute.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's one of the few that I have that is full from head to toe.
Mm-hmm.
The others are kind of pieced out.
One of the things that I don't know if you can see behind us, the shelving.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's shawl material. My wife makes shawls.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So,
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the actual fringe for the shawls behind us on the shelving.
Wow.
And she was doing some regalias. One of the favorite stories. We're at a powwow with the Nasi Watch, which is a small sub tribe of the Nanticoke here in the Maryland area, which the Nanticoke are a sub tribe of the Lenape people.
Mm-hmm.
They're Algonquin speakers, and we were vending because we got to the point where we couldn't dance as much, so we were vending a little bit. She was doing shawls. And she saw these two little girls that were trying to dance in a circle, and all they had was bandanas.
Mm-hmm.
My wife walked over and asked where their parents were, and went to the parents and asked if she could gift them a shawl because she had made some children's shawls.
Yeah.
And she brought the little girls over to let them pick from her children's shawls what shawls they wanted, so they would have an actual shawl to enter the dance.
Beautiful. Oh.
See, you are medicine.
And that's the real native thinking, because I've seen her do it. One of her good friends, her house burnt down. She lost a lot of regalia.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife said, when we go, you go tell her to come over to the shop. Anything she wants out of our stand, she takes.
Oh, sweet.
No cost
Yeah.
to replace. That's the way we should be thinking when we do things. You know, I used to laugh. I used to make chokers. And I found out I was going to make no money with chokers. Because if you came up and said, I really like that choker, but I ain't got no money, I'd go, here. Because to me, you understand that they might not have the cash to pay you. So why should they go without something that they really want to wear to be part of who they are? You know, so I learned real quick that I don't make a lot of money doing stuff like that, and I'd rather just go, here, have it, you know?
Yeah.
I didn't make that much money.
No.
I gave away about half of what I got rid of.
You know, and I always laugh because my wife got a chance to actually live on the res for a little while. She got to live in Cherokee, North Carolina.
Mhm.
you know, with her family. They were already living on the res for a while, and she went down there to live, so she got to see what it was like actually being on the res. Where my thing with the res is when I went out to go to Sundance or go to see my Uncle John
Mhm.
up in Montana. That's my times on the res when I got to be around the relatives and
Mhm.
stuff.
Yeah. Douglas, in the little time that we have remaining, is there a message that you'd like our listeners to take away from our conversation today about the Red Road and choosing to walk it?
Yeah, I got a couple of things. I was thinking of something. I got to remember if I can get it through my head right here. It's a prayer. It's actually a Sundance song. It's I'm going to try to say this to you. I'm not going to sing it. I'm going to say it to you. Tukashia wamayanke yo, le miecha nawajielahe. Wamayanke yo, le miecha nawajielahe. What that prayer says is, Grandfather, look at me, here I stand. It sounds like such a simple prayer, but when you really think of that prayer, it's a strong prayer. It's just when Sundance is going, it's the 4 days that we go without water, without food, and we're dancing in that circle. We dance from sun up to sundown. And what we're doing is a renewal ceremony to bring back the earth, to bring back health to all the people. And when that song is sung, when my first Sundance, when my wife finally had her last heart attack, the one that killed her, when I went to saw her in the thing, that's the only song I could think of in my head, and I sang it to her in ICU. And that song has got so much meaning. And sometimes it's the smallest things that means the most.
Mm.
And that's what you got to look forward to. You got to look to that road to say, I want to walk it. I want to find myself in there. And I think that's what Ron was trying to do, and that's what I've been trying to do since I found the road. Road is to refine who I am inside.
Mm-hmm. Sarah, do you have any closing comments?
Just be open. Open your hearts, open your mind. Just be open.
Good advice. Yeah. Well, it's really been fun to have you back here on the radio. Thank you so much for your stories and your words today, Douglas and Sarah Vass.
Yes, and thank you for being here today. It's good to see you again. And
thank you for the honor once again.
Yeah, I had fun. Thank y'all.
Okay. You be well.
Same to you. Merrily met.
Until the next time. All right.
Bye-bye.